All right, so I decided. All right, so I've been asked about how I make some of the fight sticks and stuff that I do. So I decided to make a video on how to build a custom fight stick in Autodesk Fusion, which used to be called Fusion 360. But anyway, they dropped the 360. So let's get started. So the first thing I like to do is turn on the origin, and that way we've got something to work on. So middle click, middle mouse click, move around, um, and then hold shift and middle mouse click to pan around. You can also use this thing in the top right and drag this, but that'll be a pain in the ass if you want to do that all day. You can hit this home button to go back to home, so that's cool. Um, so the first thing we're going to want to do is make the box. We're making a fight stick. It's going to be, a rectangle of some kind. So what do? We're going to click on this, and we want to create a sketch. And with this, we can make it whatever size we want. So there are lots of tools for making sketches. I'm just going to use lines. Um, but, or actually, I'll just do a rectangle. Let's just say we're doing a rectangle, okay? And let's say I know the width I want it. Let's say I want I don't know. We'll say it's like 200 by 120. Whoops. 200. You can tab over 120. That's if you want to type in the things, or you can just drag it around. Enter. Now we've got this box. That's our sketch. That's our box. We click Finish Sketch, and now we can see it in 3D space, and we're not in sketch mode. All right. So here's like the most basic way to make 3D objects is you sketch something, and then you use the extrude command. This is probably like my most used command. It's E is the hotkey by default. So I can click extrude, or I can hit E, and then you just extrude it for as far as you want. And now you're creating a 3D object that is that thickness. And whatever your sketch's shape was, it will extrude that shape. There's lots of useful things over here. You can do like direction one side, you could do two sides. And then you've got two arrows, and you could do it in both directions. You can do symmetric, and then whichever way you extrude, in both directions. We're just going to do one side, and we're going to make it thick. Let's make it thick. Let's say 30 millimeters. That's what, 3 centimeters. That's probably fine. Okay. So we've got a box. Let's say this is going to be our fight stick. And let's say this is, face up. So this is the top, this is the bottom. In the top left, we have, where all of the, can y'all see that? No. Oh my God, it counts as like another window or something. Okay. So we're going to do this because it's annoying. We're gonna use display capture. That's what it looks like. Yeah. All right. We're just gonna do that. So in the top left, there's these folders by default. So origin is the one that we turned on earlier. Bodies. So we now have one body. It's called body one. That's what we extruded. So we can name that, but we don't really know what it's going to be yet. I'll explain more in a sec. But so we can hide things with this little eye tool. So click, and you can hide the bodies. So before we, clicked on this is a plane of the origin to sketch. But you can also do it directly onto faces of bodies, so long as they're flat. And so we're going to do this here. So we're going to create a sketch, and then we're drawing on top of this box. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an offset. I think that'll be a useful thing to show and useful here. Where is offset? Offset. It's in modify. Okay. And I'm going to click on the edge here. And let's say we want it to be 3 millimeters thick. Well, that makes a 3 millimeter box around it. So let's do -3. And now, boom, we've created a box that is, and what I can do is I can click this number, and let's say I actually want it to be 4 millimeters thick. Cool. Changed it. Cool. Let's finish the sketch. And now we can extrude again. So I've already taught you that extruding creates shapes, but if you extrude into something, it will remove from that shape. You see that? It's going to cut. That's what it's called, cut. So if I go up here, you can see on the right here, join is what it is. New body is what it did before. Join would create these two into one thing. Now I still have one body and it's this whole thing. I did that because now I could undo and then do the extrude again. Or at the bottom, you have a timeline. And what you can do is you can click on this and you can edit feature. And we could change what we did there. So, instead of join, I could do new body. Now you can see in the top left, we have two bodies and they're separate. But let's edit the feature and let's do what we want to do, which is, and I can just drag it down. We can do, with new body, if you selected new body and you drag into things, it's still going to keep it as a new body. And now we'll do cut. Now, if we cut all the way through, going beyond this doesn't do anything because there's nothing to cut. But, we cut to, here or whatever. Okay, we made it 30 millimeters thick. So, how thick do we want it to be? We want it to be 4 millimeters thick, right? So, we can make the top 5 millimeters thick if we wanted, but let's just go ahead and make it 4 like we did. So we're going to be going down 26. Lots of different ways you could do that. You could alternatively, do two-sided. We could have, lots of ways that you could cut to the right distance, but I just did some subtraction. That's simple enough. Okay, this is starting to look like a box of some kind. Now we want to make holes for our keycaps on top of the box. So, actually, let's edit this again. Now if we home, what we've done here is we've cut it out. So we could do it this way, and we'd be creating the box upside down. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the top where the buttons will be, and this is the bottom. But I'll also show you how to do this. We can edit feature, and we can do two sides. And instead, we can have the bottom go all the way through, and we can have this go like, we'll go 4 millimeters. Right? And how far the bottom goes doesn't matter. But you can see what it's doing here is, rather than, let's go to the side profile view. You can see that, like, what we've done is now when we do this, we're looking at it face up. Because what we did was we, did it two-sided. We said start 4 millimeters down and extrude, 70 millimeters in that direction. It doesn't really matter how many. So long as we go through the entire thing, that's all that matters. Okay. Cool. So now we've got a box that's face up. And let's make some holes for buttons maybe. So let's go ahead and let's make another sketch. And what are the dimensions of, so we're going to be using key switches. We need the dimensions for holes of these. It's a little annoying, isn't it? Okay, I didn't prepare this, so let's go ahead and here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go to a previous design, and let's open that up. Okay, let's show some bodies. We do 13.9 by 13.9. Does that sound about right? 13.8. Yeah, having 0.1 in between. Wait, 13.8 by 13.6. Oh, yeah, the bottom. All right. All right. So now we want to make some holes for keycaps. So I pulled this up, and it sucks. Having to look at this sucks because it's ugly. But it'll give us the information we want. So here's the bottom. We're looking up at the keycap. I'm using Kale chalk switches. Sorry. These are wrong. I am using Kale chalk switches. Yes, they're really small. And here's the spec sheet for them, the data sheet for Kale chalk switches. So it's hard to see, but this 13.8 width, that's the distance from here, if you can see where my mouse is, to here. So basically, Kale chalk switches have like a little platform. I don't know if you can see that, but basically, there's no way you're going to be able to see that at all. Even if I made the camera big, you're not going to see it. So they have a little platform so that they can like sit on top of the box. And if you were using MX switches or Gatoron, whatever they're called, switches, it's going to be all very similar. So the numbers might be slightly different. I don't actually know, but the number here is 13.8, and God damn it, here we go. So top to bottom is 13.8, and left to right is 13.8, and then the platform extends for a little bit. How much does it extend? It extends to 15. If we look at the top up here, we can see it's 13.8 and 15 are the inside and outside. For some reason, the right side doesn't show the 15, but 13.8 and 15. For some reason, top to bottom here says 13.6, but actually, why does it say that? Right, but that's the top side. Yeah, that's the top side. So the top side here, it's 13.6 on the top, but it's 13.8 on the bottom. So we're going to use 13.8 as our number. And it goes from 13.8 to 15. So we've got a difference of 1.2. That 1.2 millimeters is the width of this little platform thing. So we're going to create a sketch, which we're already started. And we're going to make a little rectangle, and it's going to be 13.8 by 13.8. Except in the real world, you often don't want things to be, if you're making an opening for something that you want to fit in, giving yourself no clearance at all is kind of rough. It's not ideal. So we're actually going to go 13.9 by 13.9. We're going to make it a little bigger. That way we can, it'll fit in more easily. We're giving ourselves 0.1 millimeters of clearance in each dimension. Yeah. I guess half a, or 0.05 millimeters of clearance on each side, or 0.1 millimeters of clearance total difference. So not a ton, but it'll be enough to where it'll like fit in and snap in better. It won't be like impossibly hard to get in. So what are we going to do here? We can finish sketch, and you guessed it, we're going to extrude some more. So if we extrude, bam. Look at that. We've made a hole for our keycap. Now, here's an interesting detail. The horizontal part of a keycap is a little different. The horizontal part is a little different. So you can see they have these little like tabs, and it like kind of clips in using these little like clips. So basically what we want is we want it to be thinner at a certain point. Basically, in other words, let me pull up an image for you. Here's an image. Here's a way that you do this. You give yourself, you know, what is it? 1.3, and that number comes from right here. This 1.3 here. It's the distance from the platform to the bottom of the clip. Right, from the platform to the bottom of the clip. This is the material that's it's going to clip onto. Right, and it's 1.3. And so this guy, you know, whoever made this diagram that shows that we've got 1.3 from here to here. It's 2.2 total. That's some thickness that a lot of plates come in, I guess. Like if you were to buy a physical plate. And then this 1.9 or 0.9, that's just the difference. But 1.3 is the number. Okay, so let's go back to here. And okay, so what did we say? So, and the clips are only on the left and right. The clips are only on the left and right, assuming you orient it not like this. If you orient it so that you're looking at, you can read the word kale here. If you orient it that way, then the left and right are where the clips are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this face here, because that's where I want to do this. And I'm going to create a sketch. It's a little confusing because you can't really see all that well. So let's go down to display settings, visual style, and let's do shaded with hidden edges. Now we can see this is the, you know, the thing we extruded through. That's kind of useful. So here we're actually gonna make a line, and let's do a line from, and you can see it makes that little square. That's because it's gonna snap to like points, you know, faces of your sketch. That X means I'm snapping to the you know, the top of the fight stick, and you know, here I'm snapping to the bottom of like the thickness of the case. Here I'm snapping to the side. So we want to go down, and we said it was what? We said it was 1.3, right? 1.3 is this thickness. So let's go 1.3. Except, if you recall, you know, real world stuff, right? You don't want it to be exactly the distance. It might not snap in right. So let's take a little bit back. Instead of 1.3, Let's try maybe 1.2. Now, here's an interesting detail. If you're planning on 3D printing this, you have to think of it a little differently. You can't make any measurement you want. Here's what I mean by this. I plan on printing this object like this, right? Upside down, because that way, the face of it is on the build plate. The way a 3D printer works is it, prints a layer and then it goes up and then it prints a layer and then it goes up and then it prints a layer. And so whatever that, and then it goes up, that is like a parameter of yours. You say, how much do I want it to go up? And this greatly affects print quality. So for real numbers, I plan on printing this at a quality, a thickness, print layer thickness of 0.2 millimeters. This is very common. I do things at 0.2 millimeters a lot. 0.1 millimeters is also very common. That would be, it would take, twice as long, you can imagine, because it has twice as many layers, which means doing something like a curve or, it is a cleaner print, but it takes longer, you could think. So if you were doing it at a 0.1 millimeter thickness, then we could make this something like, 1.1. But 1.1 is not a multiple of 0.2. So let's make it 1.2, because that is a multiple of 0.2. That's useful, And we couldn't really do like 1.25. That would be, because, if we're printing 0.2 at a time, then like it's going to get to 0.2 and it's going to say, okay, we need 0.05 more. Let's just not print anything and let's move on to the next layer, So yeah, that's a decent amount of detail. You don't need to super understand that, but yeah, basically in the direction you're printing, whatever your layer height is, for us it's 0.2 millimeters. You have to be a multiple of that, more or less. So, okay, we're here, 0.2. Let's make another line. I used L to use the line tool. And, I want it to be 0 degrees. I don't need to enter that in. It'll like lock in, because 0 degrees is obviously a very common thing to do. You can see it snaps onto the end there. That's great. And that's it. Finish sketch. And now you can see that I have this. I can select this and this. So what am I going to do? I'm going to extrude a little bit that way. Cut. So what's that? It's this, right? I gave myself a little bit of wiggle room there. How much did I do? I did a little bit. I didn't actually like measure it or anything. I could go more. I could go extrude and I could do more. I'm going to undo. Or instead of doing that, because what that's going to do, it's going to put multiple extrudes at the bottom here in the timeline. I'm going to undo. Instead, I'm just going to edit feature, and I could do more. But we're going to undo. It looks like, so if I edit feature, it looks like I extruded 1 millimeter. That seems fine to me. I think these tabs are, actually, do we have numbers on this? This tab is, we do not. Well, okay. It's less than, yeah. I'm just going to let you know, 1 millimeter is plenty. So how do we do it over here? So we got a couple ways we could do it over here. So we could do another sketch and draw it and then extrude again. That's one option. We could, I could take this and I could hit extrude, E, and I could just go like that. That's another option. And if I want, I could just look at top and let's see. Yeah, it's hard to like line it up well though. You know, that's kind of ugly. It's like, now it's like not really even. This one's a little bit bigger than that one. That's kind of ugly. Um, yeah. What's the best way to do it? Like ultimately, it doesn't really matter. But yeah. Um, I'm just trying to show you different ways of thinking about things, and I'm trying to think myself like, what are other ways that we could do this? We could go to this. We could go to edit feature, and instead we could go two sides. All right. And this side we could drag over. Let's look at it from the top view so it's clear. Boom. So now we're there, 13.9, and we actually don't even need to do the distance ourselves. We said 13.9, or sorry, we said yeah, 13.9 if you recall was the width. But we can actually do +1 here. Now you notice it goes the other way. That's because it's negative 13.9. We're going in like that direction. Instead of +1, we should do -1. And that puts us 13.9 over, and then 1 more millimeter over. So now we know we're 1 millimeter over there. Okay. Nice. Oops. Yeah, look at that. Boom. Let me look at this from the bottom really fast because I want to do something. Yeah, you can click on lines. Click on this line. You can see I'm highlighting it. In the bottom right, it says edge length 1 millimeter. I can click on this one. Edge length 1 millimeter in the bottom right. Cool. So I know those are 1 millimeter little things. Cool. That's great. Another little thing. So this sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So here's something that can be kind of shoddy. If I go into here and I edit sketch, right? There's this one. Let's say I want it in a different location. Let's move it over. Finish. That just worked. See that? I can undo and I can redo. We can just move the sketch around. That's cool. That's great. Additionally, if we want, let's say we don't like this being here, we can hit delete, delete. It removes the hole. Fusion 360 is great at doing this. I'm going to undo, undo. Look at that. That's very cool. So lots of ways that we can. So now we need to make a bunch of these, right? How can we do it? So we could do another sketch, and we could make a bunch more. You know, I could say, you know, line, and then I could do a rectangle, and then I could go, what was it, 13.9 by 13.9, and then I could go here, and then I could say done, and then I could extrude, and then I could, right? And then I go here, and then okay, so that's a pain. We don't want to have to do that a bunch of times. Similarly, I mean, we could do it all in one sketch. We could edit, wrong sketch, sorry. We could edit this sketch, and we could, okay, let's copy and paste, and now we've got another one, and then we could say finish sketch, and then we could say, okay, back when we extruded, let's edit feature, and let's include this, and let's, okay, and now, oh, nice, we made 2 holes, but, you know, we still have to do this whole thing where, like, this thing is, like, not on that one because we just made another hole. That's not great. So instead, what I'm going to show you is kind of cool. I'm going to make a new sketch. I'm going to draw a line on here. And I want it to be big enough for this. It can be bigger. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to care too much about the size of it. I'm just going to say, let's go like there. And it's just bigger, right? And I'm going to say finish sketch. Cool. Got that sketch. So I can click both of these by click and then shift click, and now I've selected both of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this way, but instead of cutting, I'm going to make a new body. And you know what? Let's go two sides and let's make it raised a little bit. Okay. What have I done here? Let's go over to bodies. I've got body 1 and body 3. I'm going to get rid of body 1. I've just made a cube. Or not a cube, but a rectangular prism. Now, also, if these lines are getting kind of muddy and kind of annoying, you can always go back, visual style, visible edges only, right? You can see I've got my own cube on top of this cube. And if I, hide this one, you can see the hole again. It's gone. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the combine tool. I'm going to say, take this new cube, use this, and we're going to do keep tools. Well, let me show you what happens if you don't. If I say OK, now I only have body 3. Oh, wait. Sorry. This one, I'm going to use tool body. I'm going to have the box. And instead of join, sorry, by default it's on join. So if I do OK, then they become one body. And I'm going to undo that. I'm going to combine, or instead of undoing that, I'm going to, actually, no, yeah, okay, I'll just combine again. This one. Couple other options, but one is cut. What this does is it cuts my main body based on the tool. It takes the tool and removes from the main body anything that overlaps. So let's do OK. Look at that. So it removed the material that was intersecting between the two of them. Let's do an edit feature. Instead, we can do intersection. This keeps only the material that is common between the two of them. And this shape looks a lot like this shape, doesn't it? It's the same idea. And if I click on this line, that's 1.2. And this guy's is 1.3. Remember, we gave ourselves a little bit of space. And from here to here is just bigger. We just gave ourselves a lot more space. We have a thicker platform. But look at that. That's kind of cool. But that's not what we're doing. That's not the objective. The objective, let's do the cut again. Now we've got this, but notice we only have this. So that's why we want keep tools. That way we don't lose the tool. Right? And I can hide this and I can hide that. So now, here's what's kind of cool about this, is I can do the same thing, but with different things. So I can take this and I can hit M, or I can use this move/copy. I can, but instead I'm just going to copy paste it. I'm going to hit Command C, Command V. And I can move it to wherever I want. And then I can say, OK. And, you can see that, like, so you can see I'm getting kind of confused by these names sometimes. I'm going to go ahead and name this. This is the box. Cool. I'll put it on top. So now, if I hide both of these, you can see the box has one hole. So what I can do is I can combine the box with this that I created. Keep tools. OK. Hide this. And now I've just created this. It's the same thing we did before. It removes the material. Let me show you this combine again. It removes the material. It's a cut. It does a cut using that tool on that body. All right, so let's take this again. Copy paste. We'll go over here. Make another one. OK. And you can just hit paste again. You know, your thumb. Okay. Your bat, 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 bat. And keep in mind, this is just for the opening. So actually, this combine. So here's another thing we can do. So here's the thing we can do. First off, you can shift click all of these and you can hit V, and now they're all hidden. V is toggle visibility. I can also click on an object in the world and hit V. It's gone. V. Let's go ahead and put these in it. We can create a group, and we can say switch hole cutters. That's what I'll call these bodies. I can put them all in here. So now I can V, and now I can have them all visible, but then I can just toggle the group, and now they're hidden, and now they're unhidden, another hidden, another unhidden. Okay. So this hole I actually want to get rid of. I'm gonna click this, click, delete. So you can delete it from the history. So that never happened. Cool. Now, so one thing I've noticed is, you know, we've got several of these. Maybe 200 millimeters was, you know, a little. Actually, it's fine. Okay. So yeah, we've got these, and so I'm just throwing these down. And you know, we could edit them from the timeline. I could click on one and I could click the move command up here and move it a little bit and be like, I want a little more. I want a little more of this. Oh, actually, sometimes it's locked on to something. Oh yeah. So also in the timeline, you can like click on something and be like, oh, that's the one I want. You know, and I can. Right. That was copy pasting it, and now I want to edit feature of the movement, and let's go ahead and put it here, and yeah. So keep in mind this is just the opening for the key switch itself. You're gonna have a keycap on there, and so you need to have enough space for the keycap. So keep that in mind. So they probably should be spaced more than this, but I'm just teaching you how to throw this shit together. I'm not really being crazy about it. So let's copy paste this one. Copy paste, throw it there, paste, throw it there. And if I were making a real one, when I make real ones, I'm way more precise about this. I like put things on my lap, and I, try to make a kind of an impression of like where do I want my fingers to rest and all this stuff. But because you can customize it however you want, or you can look up what some other fight stick does and you could steal it directly. It's whatever you want. Cool. So again, these are we just have the cutters. Oh, and these bodies didn't get created in there, so we have to drag them into this. Cool. So now we can go ahead and do a single combine on this object using all of these tools. Cool. And here's what we're gonna do. This one here. Let's remove that. So that combine. Let's actually just delete it. Oops. Edit, undo, because that wasn't the one that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the one that creates that hole. Oh, right. We don't have that because the first one we created manually, right? We created it by, doing this fancy. We had to do the manual like removals, extrudes. Yeah. So let's do a combine on this body with these tools. Voila. That's the basic idea. So now, let's say you're like, wait a minute, we don't really have enough space over on this side. I want it to be a little bigger. Well, we can go to the original edit sketch. Let's try, instead of 200, let's try making it 220. Finish sketch. And that just extended it this way. And, you know, our offset is still the same. It's great. Everything else was able to calculate and like just extend the width of the box. That's cool. So now let's say, okay, we want like a lid, but a lid needs to sit on something, right? So let's do another offset. So what I did there is I just hit O for offset. Here, let me create. Oh, it's not even here. Well, okay, so I guess it's a little fancy. Okay, so yeah, I'll just click this, and if you were to hit L for line or O for offset, it'll automatically do create sketch, and then it'll hit O for offset. And if it was L, you'd be in line mode, but I'm in offset mode, so I'll click it again. All right, and I'll click this box, and we'll make that negative because we want to go inwards. 1, maybe 2 millimeters, maybe 3. Sure. It doesn't really matter. Cool. Finish sketch. Now I can click on this sketch. I can extrude, and I can extrude all I want. So how thick did we make this? We made it 26? Weird. Anyway, I guess we made it 26 millimeters tall. Okay, how thick do we want like the cap to be? 1, 2, 3. Let's make it like, I don't know, 4 millimeters thick. It'll be a really thick one. Oh well. And we're in join. That's fine. Join is fine. So look at that. Now we've got this nice dealio. So let's do another O for offset. We're just going to take this, and we're going to go minus 0.2. Let's do 0.3. Let's do 0.4. We can even go more than that. Well, let's go minus 1. Yeah, that's fine. Why'd we do that? Because now we can select this, but that's just the inside, so be sure to get the outside as well. Extrude. And make it go 6, I guess, because we made it. No, 4. Right. We made it 4 thick. Right. Did we? So here, this is a great example of, okay, how thick did we make this? So I wanted to line up with this. I want the lid to go as high as the thing itself. So instead of going distance, I can go to object, and I can select an object. So I can select this face, and it will just go to the same height. It will just go to exactly that height. It's apparently 5. Join? No, we want a new body because this is our lid. So look at that. Now we've got a lid. It's got some clearance, so it's very easy to set the lid on there. I gave it a lot of clearance. I gave it a whole millimeter of clearance because I want it to be like, you can just throw the lid on there. Later, we're going to make like screw holes so that it screws into place, but I want it to slide on really easily because that's a lid. And I can click the lid and I can hit V. I can hide it. V for visibility. I can hide it. Let's go ahead and call this lid now. Got our box, our lid, our switch cutty things we're not really going to use anymore. Okay, that's a good first amount of progress. Yeah, that's great. And then probably want some sort of hole in the front. Let's Let's go ahead and hit L for line maybe. Maybe we'll just do a rectangle instead. We can tilt it while we're in draw mode. We don't really care. And we'll say we're gonna do maybe like something like that. We're gonna say okay, and we're gonna extrude, and we're gonna remove that material. And oh no, I removed from my lid. That's not good. So I'm gonna undo, and I will hide the lid first, and then extrude. Cool. That's fine. And the lid goes on. Maybe you don't want it to have this opening like that, but this is a beginner tutorial and I'm keeping it simple. So, it doesn't hurt to have it there. Okay. And so you can see like, that's a little, so let's edit the sketch. Let's go maybe like down here or something. Sure. Okay. Now you can imagine the Arduino sitting here. What like your thing is and where you set it is going to depend on what you're using. Yeah. So I'm going to kind of leave that to you. That's a pretty annoying part of the process though. So yeah. Well, in any case, yeah. So some way to fasten that down. I mean, you could glue it. You could create. I'm keeping this simple. I think you've already got something that's pretty. Well, you can imagine. Let's say you have something that is, let's say it is like this shape. Sorry. Let's say it's this shape, and be sure to leave room for wires and stuff like that. Then what you could do, or actually, let's say it's this shape, and be sure to leave room for wires and stuff like that. What you could do is you could make a rectangle off of this like that, and something off of it like that. And you could do something like this, and you could extrude, and you could join, and then you could say, oh, this like shoves into there. It like fits tightly enough between these to where it's like held down. It's not how I'd do it. I think that would be kind of rough. Like getting that tolerance perfect is like, well, I mean, you could print out just this piece. So for instance, I could line, I could rectangle, I could just be like, okay, let's go ahead and do this. Let's do this. Finish sketch. Yeah, I'll teach you this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a split body. So I'm going to take this body and I'm going to take the splitting tool and I'm going to take this line. You can see when I click on it, it makes this column of what is going to be split. Okay? So what that did is it split the body into two things. So now I've got box and box 1. So now I could take this and I could print it and I could, use very little filament and test it. Like, does this fit cleanly? No. Let's make them closer together, etc. And then we could, to we don't want this to be split forever, so maybe we delete this in the history. Maybe we don't split it, or maybe before we split it, we copy paste this and we have box full. Then we go forward, and now we've got, look at that. Now we've got box, we've got box 1, and then if we hide both of them, we've got box full still. Lots of ways to do it. Yeah, that's all I'm going to do for now. But you've got an idea of how you can make stuff.